first demo, the Killers One demo, you weren't on that?
Yeah.
Wasn't it from 1983?
There was one that was earlier called the Heavy Metal Insanity demo that I was not on. But the Killers One demo I was definitely on. That was 1984 or 85 it came out. And that was just 3 songs, Thrashers, Killers One, and the Ultraviolence. And the ironic thing was, I didn't sing on Thrashers, Dennis and Rob did. I sang on Killers One, and Ultraviolence was an instrumental. So I was actually only on one song. There you go. There's Rob, but he's sleeping. So, yeah. And that was the one that was produced by Kirk.
But at that time, it was tape trading, which really made bands grow, or people to listen at all, or to discover bands.
Yeah.
But how was this compared to today's downloading on the internet?
It's oh God, tape trading was the best, because it made you feel like you were part of some underground club, and there was just something so special about it, and you'd get these demos of all these different people that other people wouldn't get, and then you'd hear about it, and then you'd want it, and then you'd send away for it, and then, you'd be checking the mail waiting for this damn demo, and by the time, 9 weeks later, when you finally give it up and forgot about the demo, all of a sudden you open the mailbox and it's there, and it was just such a special time, and there was so much innocence and excitement, and that's what I think was just amazing. That excitement is kind of lost in the immediate gratification that people get now. You hear about someone and you're like, oh, I wonder what they listen, sound like, and bam, you just go on the computer and next thing you know, you got it. So, which is also, it's a catch-22 because the internet is also the best marketing tool ever to get your music out there. So it's got its positives, but I'd say the negative is just the pure, that pure tactile experience and that innocence. Yeah.
Could you tell us a bit about the early years of Death Angel?
The band actually formed in 1982, and it was the original 4 members, which was Rob, Dennis, Andy, and Gus. And they'd been playing around San Francisco for a couple of years. And little club shows they actually played with like Law's Rocket and Wasp, things like this, but opening for bands. And our drummer Andy was 10 years old at the time, and and the oldest member was 14. And then I wasn't in the band then, but I was helping with equipment and whatnot, and and I always kind of sang and was loud. And then I started looking for bands to play with because I wanted to sing, and I used to announce Death Angel before they'd get on stage, and I'd do this kind of scream. And then one day Rob wrote a song called Killers One, and he said, we need someone who could scream on this song, and had me come down to rehearsal and try it, and it worked. And so I joined 2 years later in 1984, and I was 15. So after that, we put a Killers One demo, which was recorded and produced by Kirk Hammett, and we got signed from that, and then recorded our first album, The Ultraviolence, and that got released in '87. And after that, we toured like mad, and then came back and recorded Frolic Through the Park, I believe, a year and a half later. Toured for that quite a bit, and then following that, we released Act 3. In 1990, and we did extensive touring after that one, and then we got into a very large bus accident, and our drummer Andy was injured very badly, and he needed about a year and a half to recover, and by that point I just the band kind of ran its course with me, and I quit. And then Death Angel broke up, and there you go. That's the early history.
But is it true that your first show ever with Death Angel was a warm-up for Megadeth?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy to be with Megadeth in the first show you ever sing at?
Yeah, it was amazing. It was November 26th, 1984. And yeah, it was my first show ever, and it was Megadeth and Death Angel in San Francisco. And, first time I ever got on stage in front of a crowd, of people playing, and it was sold out, and it was just insane. And then I believe my second show was February 9th the next year, a few months later, and that was my 16th birthday, and we opened for Slayer. And so I was like, yes! So I had a pretty great 16th birthday opening for Slayer.
That must be every 16-year-old's dream.
Yeah, we were very, very fortunate, you know, and being from, you know, that city at the time and playing thrash metal at the time when it was just really blowing up. And, you know, I got to see many amazing shows, and we pretty much had played, when we were 15, 16 years old, play with, you know, all of our idols at the time. We played with Slayer, Exodus, Megadeth, Metallica. You know, it was just phenomenal. And the guys would also come to the shows too, so, you know, it was just an ultimate high in teenage years. You know, it would be playing, you know, you're 15, 16 years old, and you're playing, you know, giving it your all on stage in some little club, and you look out in the crowd and you'd see Cliff Burton out, you know, headbanging, and a lot of times Cliff would come to our shows and just be on the side of the stage headbanging, and we'd just be like, you know, it was pretty fantastic, to say the least.
Why do you think so many of these thrash bands have their origins in the San Francisco Bay Area?
You know, it was just such an accepting place, San Francisco, and that's why, I mean, it started with Exodus and Metallica, mainly Metallica, you know, and they originally Metallica formed in LA, but, you know, LA didn't understand the music, and every time they would come up to San Francisco just launched, you know, just loved that music and just grasped onto it. And Exodus was doing the same thing, so I think it was just, you know, the kids started seeing these two bands play, and then everyone realized that, you know, it's attainable to do that, you know, and so all these bands started forming. And since there was such a bond between the bands, but there was also friendly competition, so it made everyone try to get better, and everyone was competing with everyone. So it was just, yeah, I have no idea, but just an amazing time.
But you became more like mainstream after the first album. You went more into acoustic guitars, ballads, funk. Why was this when you were hanging out with the big guys in thrash metal, and suddenly you went more over to the MTV crowd?
Yeah. Good one. You know, that's just kind of, you know, what it basically was, you know, Ultraviolence, we were writing pure thrash, and that's what we wanted to do. And then we started, you know, just getting better at our instruments, and everyone started getting better, so they just wanted to explore, you know, different sides of music, and, you know, did it under, you know, the band name Death Angel, so it kind of got, you know, frowned upon by a lot of, you know, diehard thrash fans. And, you know, it's just like with anything growing up, when you hit that age, you want to start exploring different things. And we did, and then in the long run, it went full circle, and we came back to, you know, playing the music we like best.
Yeah, because you were kind of embarrassed with the name Death Angel maybe when you were starting to get more mainstream, because Death Angel, they don't play, they aren't like influenced by like U2 and Kiss.
Yeah. I mean, Kiss was our first concert we ever went to in 1979. You know, Rob's mom brought us all to a Kiss concert when we were 8 to 10 years old, and it was just, we knew that's what we wanted to be. But, you know, just always had an open mind to different types of music. And that's why we tried to bring, you know, as much different influences into, you know, thrash as we possibly could. And I think we pushed the envelope, but sometimes we might have pushed it a little too much and made maybe not the most palatable, you know, of decisions at the time. But, you know.
But you did get some airplay or playings on MTV with your video from the second, or was it the third album?
We did on actually both. Bored was from the second album, and then from the third album we did two, which were Seemingly Endless Time and Room with a View. And so yeah, we got quite a bit of, you know, video play, definitely. But you know, I think it ran its course, and, you know, things happen for a reason. We moved on.
But you split up. You split up after some years, and there were about 10 years without you being a band. Did you hear anything? What did you do in these years when Death Angel was dead?
Yeah, everyone else in the band carried on. The original four members as a different, you know, under a different band name, different style of music called The Organization. I actually just had it with the music industry. just because it's all I kind of knew when I was 14 when I started. And then, you know, you go in there with hopes of, you know, everyone loves music, but then you meet people at record companies, at least back then, and they didn't know anything. It was all about business, and it just kind of poisoned your idea of, you know, what you wanted to do, you know, growing up. And so I just kind of had it, and I quit. I moved away to New York, and just kind of, you know, drank. No, I'm just kidding. I just, you know, just kind of explored different things I wanted to do with my life, and then eventually, a couple of years later, I started playing music, you know, with friends all the time, and never put together a band. Never really wanted to again. And probably about 6 years later, I put together a couple bands, and then eventually, you know, me and Rob formed a band called Swarm, which was more a rock band. And on the coattails of that, that's when we started getting word about Chuck Billy getting diagnosed with cancer. And they put together this benefit called Thrash of the Titans. And it was a benefit for Chuck and cancer research. And all these bands flew out to San Francisco to do this benefit. And then a lot of bands also reformed. And, you know, we too, we got approached, and we decided, hell, if we're ever going to do it, you know, this is a great cause to do it for. Because we'd been offered many times to reform by promoters, and we always just, nah. And so we did it, and just had an amazing time, and that kind of got, you know, lit the flame, lit the spark, so to speak. And I think that show in general just kind of relit the whole spark for thrash metal again, to tell you the truth. I think that was the beginning rumblings of this, you know, scene that has gone full circle and came back again, which is brilliant to me.